Hello YouTube, this is Eli, the Obity Tech. I'm here working on a 2001 Honda Odyssey with a 3.5 liter engine. I'm diagnosing a P0505 idle speed out of range. This is basically telling us that the idle speed cannot come down to its normal range. For this Honda Odyssey, the spec is 730 plus or minus 50. So between 780 and 680 RPM. That's the normal range spec for this vehicle. Well, I already did a little research on all data. I actually found a technical service bulletin showing that the models from 99 through 2001 on this Honda Odysseys, that the idle control valve is common for it to go out. And this is a 2001. So basically, some of the symptoms of a IAC valve that either is starting to go out or it's completely going out. One could be a fluctuating idle that goes up and down between 1,000 to 1,500 RPM. It just fluctuates. Another symptom could be either a high idle that stays high and it doesn't come down. Another symptom could be a low idle and your vehicle runs rough. Another one could be a start stall condition, where you start the engine and your car just stalls. But if you press on the accelerator and increase the RPM, your car will stay on. But as soon as you let go, the car will stall. Another one could be that if you are at a stop sign or your car is idling, and if you hit the AC, and if your car stalls, that's another indication that your idle control valve is basically going bad. So next step to this diagnosis, I'm going to show you guys some ways to confirm that the idle control valve is going out. But before I do that, I'm going to show you guys, the schematic, for the wiring diagram for this vehicle. All right, guys. So I'm here at the idle air control system. I'm showing you guys, the wiring diagram. So here on this diagram, it shows the ISC valve. It seems that there's 3 wires. You have pin 1, pin 2, and pin 3. Pin 1 is a black wire which goes to ground on G101, and on pin 2 it's a yellow-black wire that's actually going to it goes to the PGM F5 main relay, which this wire is going to be our I guess our power feed. I'm pretty sure. Yep. Which goes to a 15 amp fuse. So this pin 2 should give us approximately 12 volts. And then finally on pin 3, that's going to be our black and blue wire, which is our valve control, which is our our signal wire. This is where the computer commands the percentage on the ISC count, on how much to open the idle control valve to maintain a stable idle. So now we know that on pin 1, pin 2, and pin 3, we know that pin 1 is our ground, pin 2 is our voltage source, and pin 3 is our control wire, our valve control. Alright guys, so let's go out there and do our voltage checks. Alright guys. So I'm here, showing you guys, the technical service bulletin for this vehicle. It's the idle fluctuation, DTC P0505, and a P1129 check ISC valve. This applies to, I was actually wrong. It actually applies to 2001 through 2003 Honda Odyssey, where a bad IC valve can cause any of all of these symptoms: fluctuating idle, DTC P0505, or a DTC P1129, a map sensor code. Alright guys, so let's go out there and do our checks. Alright guys, so I'm here at the engine compartment. I'm going to do the voltage checks. but due to the design of the connector, I'm not able to do back probing, with the connector plugged in. Ideally, that's the best way to do it. So so next thing I'm gonna do is do a front probing and check the power and ground. I won't be able to check the the idle air control valve with the connector unplugged. So I'm gonna plug it in and then use our scan tool and watch the ISE command from the scan tool and see if the computer is trying to do a valve control on this IAC valve. Alright guys, so this voltage check should be with the key on, engine off. I'm going to use a test light with the voltmeter. I'm using the red lead connected to the test light, and then the black lead is connected to the negative battery poles. Alright guys. Alright, so first I'm going to check the middle terminal, and that middle terminal should give us approximately 12 volts, which is coming from the 15 amp fuse, which runs to the main relay. It's a yellow wire on this connector, so I'm gonna touch it, and our light should turn on. It's being lit, and we're getting approximately 12.01 ohms, volts. Next, I'm gonna remove the test light connector from the negative post and put it into the positive post. And now I'm going to check the ground terminal on this connector, and that should be approximately 0 volts. Currently it's showing 12 volts due to the fact that my test light is connected to the to the battery post. But once I touch the negative terminal, this 12 volts should drop to approximately 0 volts. And our test light is being lit again because we're touching ground. Our voltage dropped to 0.06, which is within spec. Just jumping around, since I'm not making good contact. So approximately 0.05. Our spec is less than 0.1 or less than 100 millivolts. So far our voltage is checking out properly. This shows that we have a good power and a good ground on this connector. So the next thing is to check on the scan tool and watch our IC command and see if the computer is trying to do a valve control on this idle air control valve. Alright guys, so next I'm going to show you guys the symptom. And at the same time, I'm going to show you guys the ISE command on the scan tool and show to see if the computer is trying to control the IAC valve. All right, so I'm going to start the engine and let's watch our needle on the RPM. All right, so that's a normal startup right there. That's a normal rating on the RPM so far. As you can see, the check engine light is on. So I'm going to take it out to a scan tool. Currently our RPM is about 882 RPM. Our ECT is about 53.5 degrees Celsius. Our TP sensor showing negative 0.6 degrees. Our ISE command is showing about 5%. But as you can see, the engine speed it's climbing little by little. Remember, we started at 880 RPM. It dropped to about 880. Now it went up to 940, 950 plus. So let's just watch it and see what happens. Currently, the car is idling almost within spec, but it's still high. Remember, our spec is between 730 plus or minus 50, which is max is 780, minimum about 680. So we'll see as the engine gets cold, warmer. You see, what the symptoms of this ISE valve does. So far, I'll say the symptom is a high idle during warm up or during idle. Our ISC command is about 4%, which means that the ISC, it means that the computer is trying to bring the RPM down. Offhand, I don't have the specs on this on the percentage for the for the ISC. I tried to do a research on all data, but I couldn't find anything. The TP sensor percentage at idle should be about 10 degrees, approximately 10 degrees, or roughly 0.5 volts at idle. My scan tool, didn't give me a pit for the voltage, but it should be approximately 0.5 volts, and the degree should be about approximately 10 degrees. As you can see, our idle keeps going higher and higher as the engine gets warmer. I saw about 1,000 RPM for a moment. There we go. So little by little, our RPM is climbing. So out of all those symptoms that I mentioned earlier about a fluctuating idle, low idle, high idle, or a start-stall condition, we have a high idle condition where our ISC valve, it's maintaining the valve open and is not able to bring the the RPM down to its normal spec, which I said between 730 plus or minus 50. And that's the reason we're getting our code, our P0505 IC valve out of range, because it's not within spec. We have an high idle that is not able to come down as the engine gets warmer. Now our ISC command is showing about 12%. So at least we know that the computer is trying to command the ISC. Our temperature is about 78.4 degrees Celsius. In other words, 80 degrees Celsius, it's about 176 degrees. So we're basically within normal spec already. So let me try to rev the engine and see what happens. Our TP sensor reading negative 0.2 now degrees. As I climb the RPM, watch our symptoms. As I try to increase the RPM, there's like a hesitation, like a surging on the RPM. I'm at 28. Our IC commands at 9%. Our TP sensor showing about 5.2 degrees. I'm gonna drop the RPM. As you can see, we have a surging idle. As I raise the RPM to about 1500, our idle seems to fluctuate. See that, guys? So at least we have confirmed that the computer is trying to command this ISC valve. So I guess the next thing, guys, is to basically, another trick that you could also confirm is to remove the air intake hose and basically put a finger over the vacuum port, which is in front of the throttle plate. And if your idle comes down and gets smoother, it's pretty much an ISC valve that's basically staying open. It's sticking open, and it's not able to close to its normal range, which, as I said, 730 RPM. So that's the next step, guys. Alright guys, so currently the engine speed is showing about 940 something RPM. Our IC command is about 7%. I have the intake duct already removed. It seems that our that RPM is not high enough. I suspect that this is an intermittent IC problem, where in which the IC valve is sticking at moments. But that test, you know, that I was talking about sticking your finger and plugging, you know, the vacuum port on the ISC. There's some, I guess, on this test, you know, it's not gonna work because our RPM is not high enough. I think it's only when it's above 1200 RPM or higher. But I'll try it. Let's watch our RPM. If our RPM stabilizes to normal reading, that means it's ISC valve that's being partially sticking. Alright, so here we go, guys. You know, so as I plug the port on the throttle body, our RPM does drop to within range. There we go, guys. Another symptom is if you have if you have a system where your idle is fluctuating up and down. Even doing that test, if your RPM stabilizes and stops doing the fluctuation or surging, it's you know, that's another way to confirm that that your ISC valve is faulty. In other words, sticking. So right now our RPM is about 860 something. It's still above the 780, which is the max at idle. Now, you know, another way to also check this ISC valve is to smack on the ISC valve and see if the RPM drops. You know, so I'll do that right now and see what happens. You know, so I'm gonna hit it with the screwdriver. I'm gonna hit it around this area right here on the ISC. I'm gonna tap it, and let's watch our RPM. There we go, guys. I'm smacking on it. And see if this ISC valve actually goes back to normal. So as you can see, as I hit the you know, the ISC valve, our RPM did drop to 700. Almost, right now it's almost within spec. As I smack on it more, it seems that our ISC is unsticking. So this is maybe I'm pretty sure it's an intermittent problem where the ISC valve it's sticking at moments. Because remember, during the first portion of this diagnosis, our RPM did jump all the way to 1200 RPM. And right now, you know, when I took the intake air duct, our highest RPM was about 900 plus. And now that I have smacked on the ISC valve, our RPM did drop to within spec. So I keep on smacking. And our ISC command is showing about 2%. Our RPM is still within spec. Remember, 730 plus or minus 50. So our ISC command, little by little, is going higher. I'm pretty sure the way this system works is as in other words, you know, the lower the RPM, the higher the ISC command, and the higher the RPM, the lower the ISC command is. So right now, as we watch the ISC command, little by little is going higher. So right now it's at 12%. Our RPM is still within spec, 720 something. Our command is going higher. I guess our computer is happy with what the RPM is at right now, so it's commanding the ISC command higher at 50%. So we've actually figured out how this system works. That the lower the RPM, the higher the ISC command, and the higher the RPM, the lower the IAC command is. So this is probably, maybe this percentage is the spec for this vehicle. I'll say anywhere from 15 to 18% maybe. So it seems that this problem is an intermittent sticking ISC valve. I will call the customer and see what he wants me to do. If he wants me to replace it or maybe clean it. So for now, I'll say this is intermittent. If the customer wants me to replace it, I'll do a part 2. Alright guys, so hopefully this diagnosis helps you, you know, with an ISC valve on a Honda. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you like. Alright guys.